Hey y'all, it has been a very long time. I'm not even going to say it's been a minute because it's been many minutes. I'm just going to say that it has been a long time. I guess my last video went up in November, and I have not put up any new videos since then. There are a lot of reasons. We'll get into it all in a minute. But first, if you are new here, or it's been so long since you've been here that you have forgotten, my name is Angela. I live in Houston, Texas. I am a knitter, crocheter. Occasionally I weave. I'm a writer. And I'm an accumulator of yarn. Hence the name of this channel is Knit This Mess. I started this channel, and here we go, we're getting into it. I started this channel, it's been over 18 months ago now, with the idea partly that I would have someone to talk to my hobbies talk about my hobbies with. But also because I needed a little bit of accountability. And things have gotten a little better around here in terms of the knitting clutter. I have still been going to shows, but I have not been buying hardly any at all compared to how I used to be. I still buy yarn, but I haven't bought any new yarn since I went to Rhinebeck, and a couple of the other two shows I went to while I was there. But I also haven't been able to get much crafting done, and part of the reason is that I am currently in a Crochet Overwhelm moment. So this was a while back, before the pandemic even. I started a crochet along for a blanket, which I love crocheting blankets. I've crocheted quite a few, but this one that I got myself into was sponsored by, I'm gonna say this wrong, Sheepies. I don't know. They're in Europe. Maybe the Netherlands. I'm not entirely sure. I should have looked that up before I got on here, huh? Well, anyway, you've probably heard of them. And the crochet along was for 2020. So maybe it started, I don't know exactly when in 2020 it started, whether it was at the very beginning, maybe it was later. Anyway, it was called D'Histoire Naturelle, and it was inspired by the novel All the Light We Cannot See. And this is it right here, the 2020. Anyway, it was a stunning blanket. It looked like a lot of fun, and I waited a little while, and one of the kits went on sale on Wool Warehouse, which is based in the UK, and they are a great shop for yarn, especially really high quality acrylics, which is kind of a lot of what I use when I crochet, because crochet uses so much yarn. And when you're doing a blanket, you want something you can just toss in the washer and then hang up on the line or whatever. You don't want to take a chance of it getting felted, or you want something that wears, right? So anyway, this kit went on sale, so I got it, and I chose. So I didn't have much choice because I got the one that was on sale, and it used the Sheepies Color Crafter yarn, and I chose the colorway Mineralogy, and I got it and I started it, and I don't like the yarn. It is very splitty, and it snags easily. Anyway, here it is. I'm not finished yet. I've got like nine or 10 more rows to go. I'm in the home stretch, but these are very, 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 very long rows because it's like in the round, right? So it's a row is all 4 sides. So it's pretty much like 4 rows. Anyway, I started it, and then I got to a very fiddly bit, and this is the very fiddly bit because you had to make all these little different geode motifs, and then you had to join them together with a very complicated, I had to watch the video. Fortunately, there are videos on YouTube, and I had to watch the video over and over and do it along with the video. Thankfully, the video for this part, she goes stitch by stitch, round by round, so you can follow her. So I would do it, then go back. But anyway, when I got to this part, I got so frustrated. I'm just like, I can't handle this right now. And I put it all in a box, and then the box went into our storage unit that we had temporarily while we were getting ready to move. And then we moved in 2022, and then we cleared out all the storage unit. That's one reason why my office is such a mess. All of the yarn that I had boxed up and put in the storage unit came to my new office in my new house, and I'm still figuring that out. Anyway. So at the beginning of this year, maybe it was February, January, I don't know, I pulled this out again. I finished all of these fiddly corners. I put it all together and I started going through it. And I'm just like, I hate this blanket at this point. I really hate it. It's been 4 years. It's been 84 years. It's been a long time. And I'm so sick of it. And I don't like the way the colors are like too in my face. They're not, if I had seen them in person, I probably would not have bought this set. I would have brought one of the other sets that had the more muted colors, but I'm not keeping it. I'm giving it away. But I have not been able to do anything but work on that for the last 3 months. So no knitting has gotten done. There is one other little crochet project. I'm going to show you that in a minute because it involves the other time suck on my time right now. And that is reading, which reading should never be considered a time suck unless it's keeping you from doing things that you really do need to be doing. But anyway, I started reading again a lot. Like, I had not been doing a lot of reading the last couple of years, which is very strange for me because when I was a teenager on summers, when I didn't have to do homework, I was devouring a book a day. When I was in college, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I read all the time. I would stay up way too late reading. And then the last few years, everything's just been so crazy and I just haven't been reading. But anyway, for some reason, my fire for reading got rekindled this last winter. So I've been reading, and I try to alternate a fiction book and a nonfiction book. And a friend of mine was telling me about something she saw on Instagram, and I had seen something about it too, where this woman would read, and for every book she read, she would crochet a granny square. And I thought, well, that's a good idea. That sounds like a fun thing to do. I could use up my scraps from all my mini blankets that I have crocheted. But I don't like making granny squares, and I wanted something more solid, you know, that didn't have holes in it. So I found this pattern, again on Instagram, and the pattern is called the Cat Squares Crochet Pattern. That's just what it's called. And I practiced this, but I'm probably going to mess it up anyway, Marina Verchinina. And you can find it on Etsy, Ravelry, pretty much anywhere. And they are these 3-color cats faces. There's also a paw and I think a little cat bottom with a tail. But I've been doing the various faces, and it's a great pattern because she takes you step by step. She writes everything out by line. She has diagrams, whatever your way, your preferred way to look at a crochet pattern is, it's probably in that pattern. She shows it a lot of different ways. So I've been doing that. So every time I finish a book, I make a crochet pattern. I make a crochet square. So, and here are the ones I've done so far. We've got Midnight in Chernobyl. So there's my Midnight in Chernobyl cat. He looks a little stunned, and as I'm sure the people at Chernobyl were. We've got Killers of the Flower Moon, right? And he looks pretty pissed, which if you'd read Killers of the Flower Moon, you would be too. We've got The Silence of the Girls, which I found by Pat Barker. I found this by accident in a hardware store in Catskills, New York. It was $2, so I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So here's my cat for The Silence of the Girls, and it's a retelling of the fall of Troy from the point of view of Briseis, who was Achilles' prize. We've got The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, a multi-Hugo Award-winning author. This has been on my list to read for a while, and I just, we have another very angry-looking cat. And I read Thunderstruck by Eric Larson, and here's my Thunderstruck cat. And this, I had higher hopes for this. So if you've read, probably his two most famous books are Isaac's Storm, which is about the hurricane that hit Galveston in 1900. No, be quiet. I have a cat out there who's very upset and wants in. That's Isaac's Storm. That's about the 1900 hurricane in Galveston. And having lived in Galveston before, I've been avoiding reading that. Although I did pick up a copy for 50 cents at the library sale, and it's on my to be read pile. And his other really famous book is Devil in the White City, which is about H.H. Holmes, the serial killer who was operating during the World's Fair in Chicago, and contrasts, and it juxtaposes, alternates between his story and the story about the building of the World's Fair Park. And when I tell you I could not put that book down, I could not put that book down. I read about cement drying and was fascinated, right? So this book kind of tries to follow that same pattern. It alternates and juxtaposes the story of Holly Harvey Crippen, who killed his wife and buried her in the cellar, and then ran off with his mistress, against Marconi's building of the wireless towers. And the thing that ties them together is that when Crippen and his mistress were escaping England and going to America, where he was originally from, the captain on the ship that they were on recognized them from a wanted report and used the wireless on the ship to radio that they had been spotted, and the police were there waiting when they landed in New York and took them into custody. And that made Crippen the first criminal ever captured using the wireless technology. Well, you would think that would be fascinating. Oh God, I could not get through it. It was so hard. It was a slog. It took me forever to read this. It just didn't compel me like Devil in the White City. Okay, let's see. Oh, some more fiction. A friend recommended these books, so I've got Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, and here's my Annihilation cat. And then here's the second book in the Southern Reach series, which is Authority. And there's my authority cat. He looks pretty menacing, doesn't he, with his red eyes. And the introduction to this is written by, it'll bring it back around, by N.K. Jemisin, right? So it's a very interesting book. Those are, yeah, I can't describe them, just check them out. And then I haven't done a square yet because I just finished it a day or two ago, and it's the Road to Jonestown, Jim Jones and the People's Temple by Jeff Gwynne. So I had read Raven by Paul Reiterman, which was Tim Reiterman. I'm sorry, I always mess that up. By Reiterman. It was a great book, but it was written many years ago, and I read an updated, revised version, but this came out, I want to say in 2018 or 2019, and Jeff Gwynne, he lives in Fort Worth, Texas. He's not quite local, but he's written books about Charles Manson, Bonnie and Clyde, the OK Corral. So he's written a lot of true crime stuff. And so this book, really, really well researched. He goes a lot into the early days of the People's Temple. And you really see over the course of time, you see Jim Jones eroding and turning into what he became. And it's really, really sad because the People's Temple, when it started out in Indiana and in Indianapolis, they did so much good work helping the disadvantaged, helping the elderly. They did a lot of work towards integration. It was, and then he went off the rails. It's really sad. Sad story. But one that I found fascinating for a long time. But if you find that kind of thing interesting, I highly recommend this one. So anyway, right now I just started the Acceptance, which is the third Southern Reach book. And I don't know what I'll read after that, but there will be squares. There will be cat squares. So these are going to be fun to sew together into a crazy patchwork blanket. And for that, I'm using Style Crafter DK. I don't have I thought I had oh, there it is. So Stylecraft Special DK, which is what I usually use for making blankets. And I have a ton of it in all kinds of different colors. So whatever I read, I should be able to come up with a square. Okay, so that is what has been taking up so much of my time. The crochet and the reading. And I mentioned accountability earlier and how part of this channel was to in some way hold myself accountable so that I would have something to report back to say, yes, I have done this. I have completed this thing that I set out to do. And if I haven't completed it, here's my progress and here's my plans. And as one would expect, not having this accountability for the last 6 or 7 months, I haven't really done much except slog away at this blanket and make little cat squares, which those are not worthwhile things, but not what I really wanted to do. I've got all these ideas I want to do, but and before we shift gears a little bit, I'll tell you I'm wearing the Ozetta tee that I finished up last year. All right. Accountability. In addition to being a knitter and a crocheter and all these other things, I am a writer. And I write and publish under the pen name of Madeline Kirby. And I write kind of cozy paranormal mysteries. My main series is called Jake and Boo, and it's set in Houston, Texas. I have another series and a half called Hill Country Witches, which is set in a fictional hill country town. And I was doing great with those. I was writing, doing great. One of the things that really helped me was accountability. I had a friend who was working on her dissertation, and she would come over every weekday morning, and we would sit at my kitchen table, and we would both write, and we'd write 3 or 4 hours a day. And she finished her dissertation, she got her PhD, and then she's like, well, I want to write, and I want to try my hand at fiction. So I'm like, sure, great, keep on coming, we'll keep on writing. And then a series of life events happened, and she wound up living in Huntsville, which is like a 80 to 90 minute drive from here. So she couldn't come over every day anymore, and she got a job up there. And anyway, without that accountability, without my partner, I still managed to get some writing done, but it was really hard. If I didn't have anybody to, at the end of the day, say, hey, how many words did you get? Did you finish that scene you were talking about? Whatever. So I wrote a little bit, but I floundered, and then we moved, and there was so much to do with the new house, and I just, when you don't use a muscle, it atrophies, and that's what happened. And then out of the blue, we were talking about, 7 or 8 months ago, and she said, I don't want to do this job anymore. And she still lives in Huntsville, but they have a place here in Houston that she was still kind of using, that they still had, that they'd been renting it out to some friends, but long story, don't need all the details. Anyway, so now she can use that place. So she comes down 3 days a week, and then every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, she comes over. We sit down at that same table. It's not in the kitchen anymore. It's in my office now. We sit down at that same table and we write. And I just published my first publication in like 4 years, 3 or 4 years, came out yesterday on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Rakuten, wherever you buy your books, it's there. It's my first one in so long, and I'm kind of overwhelmed by it, but it's really helping me have that accountability again, helping me accomplish things. And I need structure, I need accountability. I have to recognize that about myself. Left to my own devices, I'll just sit in front of the TV and watch British mysteries and knit and eat junk food. I don't do anything if I don't feel like I need to, if I feel like I'm supposed to, if I don't have some kind of outside structure imposed upon me. It's terrible to admit that, but there we go. So yeah, between y'all and my knitting journal, I have my knitting journal out because I wrote the name of that pattern. I'm very messy. I wrote the name of that pattern down so that I could share it with y'all. Yes, but looking back here, I have the list of all the yarns and plans that I had made when I did my last video last November, talking about my trip to Rhinebeck. And then nothing after that except where I started the Northern Lights shawl with yarn that I bought on that trip, which I have not finished. I'm at about the halfway point. I started that shawl October 29th, 2024. And since I started it, the only thing I've been working, and since I started that, I got sidetracked by this, and it's pretty much the only thing I've really worked on since November. Yeah, anyway, this is all just turning into a ramble. Let's talk about a plan. Yes, a plan. What I'm going to do. My plan, I'm going to try to come back here next week and let y'all know if my plan if plan came through or not. Gonna finish this week. After I leave here with you, I'm gonna go watch British Mysteries and crochet and eat junk food. Oh, and then I need to do my square for this book. And then I have a plan. I have a pattern I want to do. Woolen Pine, which is one of my favorite. Their designs are so, I love their designs. They're great. And I recently picked up a pattern. They had a sale on their shawls and shawl patterns, and I picked up a pattern for the sundial shawl, which you can make with scraps or mini skeins or just whatever. It has lots of different colors, and it's mosaic knitting. And I forgot my bag over there. I'm gonna get my bag. Okay, I'm back with my bag. I'm going to use, I have all these mini skeins that I picked up. These I got year before last at the dreaded flooded out Woolen Folk show. These are Coats and Company mini skeins. They're superwash merino and nylon blend. I'm going to use those, and I think these two are loose ones that also came from there. I don't know because they don't have labels, but I'm pretty sure that they came with these. And then I have this Plies and Hellhounds yarn that I got at, the one that's in Saugerties at the big horse equestrian place. I'm blanking on the name of it. Anyway, that's where I got the Plies and Hellhounds. Can you see that? Plies and Hellhounds. And this is another mini skein kit. It's, maybe you can't really tell there, but it's got lots of like deep purples and burgundies, and there's a really dark teal and a couple of nice blues and browns, and these have greens and browns, and there's burgundy and some teals. So I think these will all play well together. I need to break them out and figure out what order I want to do them in, but I think these will make a really beautiful sundial shawl. So that's going to be my next project. I want to do a sweater. I'm very excited about another project that I have in mind for some yarn that I got in Calgary last summer at Knit City. And I haven't started it yet because I don't know what size to make. Because, as I've mentioned before, I am not as svelte as I once was. So I try to find patterns that are size inclusive. But my doctor has told me that I need to get my cholesterol down, and my knees and my ankles and my hips are telling me that I need to get my weight down. So I am working very hard on that right now. As I mentioned, discipline is not my strong suit, but I've been reading The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod, and I'm almost finished with it, and I'm trying to implement those miracle morning principles. And when I was doing my journaling this morning, I wrote it 3 times, I'm going to make a YouTube video today. And here I am making this YouTube video. So pat on the back to me. But anyway, so Miracle Morning, and I'm using it to eat more vegetables and eat more beans and eat more fiber and get that cholesterol down, and we'll see how it goes. But I don't want to make any fitted garments until I know what's going to happen to my body in the next 6 months. So yeah, I'm gonna wait until the end of the year and then maybe. But do you want to see what I'm gonna make? So pretty. I may have told y'all about this already. But I'm going to make the Gouty pullover. This is what I got for the color work. It's the what is it called? Spin Cycle. I kept wanting to say Cycle Spin Cycle yarns. And then the solid color is this Dijon from Rose Hill Yarns, which, can you tell I really like this like acid green color? But yeah, I think that'll be really pretty as a Gouty pullover if I ever get around to it. So we'll see. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. I've told you my plans. Maybe, hopefully, now that I have put those plans out into the ether, they will happen. Who knows? But they're out there. I will come back and talk to you again after I have finished this blanket. I may not have all the ends woven in, but the blanket will be, the crocheting part will be completed the next time you see me. Hopefully that happens as planned so that you'll see me again soon. But if you don't see me again for a long time, know that I got overwhelmed again. Keep me in your thoughts. It has been really wonderful to be back here and talking to you again. And my husband always reminds me, I need to tell y'all, ask y'all to please like and subscribe wherever that may be. And happy knitting.